I had to describe RSH in a couple words, I'd say they're the best challenge, intimidating.
Kino, Zutter, and Upset.
I think they'll be solid again. Can't see them dropping too many games.
Yeah, RSH is obviously really scary. It feels almost inevitable what's going to happen when you watch their games, because they are just like that very solid, like, play for late game sort of team. They are fairly loyal to that style though, and I'm hoping teams can find a way to exploit that, because they're predictable. It's just that they're really good at what they do.
No longer the top dogs. They're gonna fall off. I feel like a lot of the teams are gonna get better.
Zutter.
By far the best team in the league. I think it's almost like effortless what they do. I know it's probably not the right word because obviously they put a lot of effort into it, but just how well they play and how convincingly they beat teams is really scary. So I feel like they probably have the strongest players across the board on most roles.
RSH, if I had to describe them, would be jungle diff. Grandmaster jungler definitely helps with that.
What does our team do best or better than other teams? I guess drafting in a way, and that's probably it, honestly. Just knowing how to play like safe. SRC, that's the team you want to face the most. Probably you just win if you have a challenger jungler in your team. And amazing top laner. Okay, so what do I think of the new team Braves? Mediocre.
Who?
It should be pretty good.
What I have heard is that most of their players are not great, although they did just sign a 40-point mid laner, so I'm interested to play against him. I've heard predictions that they're going to be a pretty weak team, but I don't want to take anybody. I plan to take every team seriously, because not doing that is how you get upset.
A giant question mark. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them, to be honest with you. I know Risket's on their team, and other than that, I don't think I actually know any of the players, so I couldn't give you anything on those guys yet.
Braves are in for a rude awakening.
I think our teams, I would say like overall synergy and bond is really, really strong, especially with the short time that we've been together. Roman, yeah, I'm actually really excited to face them too, just because Cryptic and Risket were teammates last season. And it'll be kind of really cool to have that like rivalry between them and see how they like play out for sure. I think people will actually be pleasantly surprised to see how competitive our team is going to be within the EGL circuit. I think a lot of the times when people see a brand new team that is put together that kind of enters a new scene, they tend to underestimate them. And I think that's actually going to be used to our advantage quite a bit. We have a lot of really solid players. Like every single player on our roster is extremely solid in their own work, and just being able to continue working and growing together as a team to work on the little things that we do need to work on. It's going to be really, really easy to become one of the most competitive teams for sure.
EGL, a top-heavy team without a true carry.
EGL, for fun team.
It should be overall pretty decent.
EGL is a for fun team, and I couldn't be happier to have them in my group.
The original for fun team.
5 fun.
Hopeful, maybe would be a word, that they'll be able to improve on where they were last split.
My team does things better than other teams, probably with our creative draft. We play a lot of very strange picks, specifically in the bot lane. I'm looking forward to playing against SRC and PTC probably the most. If I were to make a new rival for us, I think it's going to quickly become Alcove Gaming. Hopefully that we took a game off of RSH. I think that's what I'm hoping for. Describe PTC in 1 to 2 words. PTC is an old school group made up of a bunch of college buddies, helmed by Mega Man, an absolute chad of a mid laner.
I've heard really good things about Mega Man. Actually, that was a roster where I looked at it and I was surprised that it was one of the worst teams. So another team that I'm going to be taking seriously, even if we're sort of expected to outperform them.
I hope they do better. I really like all the guys in their team. I hope they do better.
Mega Man or bust.
think maybe they're kind of similar to what EXE was. I think they're a group of close friends that are, just trying to play the best league that they can and improve each split.
Over reliant on mid lane.
TTC, a remarkable mid laner with an unremarkable remaining part of the map.
I'd say mediocre too.
Overall, we do a pretty good job on macro plays. I think it's just late game decision making sometimes that get us. I'm looking forward to playing RSH and SRC just because players on those teams are good, so I always like to play against the best competition. I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised maybe that they're sleeping on us as a team, but yeah. Alcove, I know they have Alex and Super Thig, which are good players from last season, so I'm expecting them to be pretty good.
A time bomb. I hope they explode, like, in a good way.
Alco 55137.
They picked up 2 players that were, maybe they were FN players, maybe it was Super Thig and Alex, maybe? I mean, they're a really solid squad. I mean, Super Thig obviously was the, Season 1 MVP, and Alex has just been a really, really strong top laner in all the games that he's played, so I think they're going to be a good team. Solid as a rock.
Alcove could be scary.
I see them getting out of the group.
I have no clue about Alcove.
Alcove Gaming, Profrog, and Alex. Those 2 players come to mind. Going to be a pretty strong Season 3 team, I think.
I think we're arguably the most well-rounded roster right now, along with like EXE. I think there are no glaring weaknesses in any of our positions, especially with another couple months of practice. I think it's going to be hard for teams to sort of find a crack, and if we can become better coordinated, I think we'll be a really good contender for the top spots. Since I brought over Super Thing and Alex from Fire Nation, that's going to be an interesting game if it happens in the playoffs. I like to think that they'll remember that we were able to make upsets happen, and everyone sort of thought it was solved from the beginning, right? People think they know what's going to happen in most of these games, I feel like, and I'd like to prove them wrong about at least a couple of those. I would say Roman is well coordinated, surprisingly so.
Sleeper OP.
Roman, I think Cryptic is a really good team leader. I feel like he is really dedicated and committed to making the best team that he can make.
Counter.
RMN, we're a bot-heavy team. Now without BADC, I think I'm going to be a top-heavy team, but I see it being less successful.
Roman, without BADC, I think they're mediocre too. They're like, eh.
Cryptic and Mechanical Reaper back at it again. Let's see if they can play at least up to their skill level.
I think without Risk it might be a little different. I know he was kind of a shining light on that team.
What Roman does better than other teams is when we are able to get what we want out of draft, we tend to do a lot better than if we don't get what we want out of draft. Not necessarily the champions, but the style of play. We really like facing Alcove for that kind of bot lane tension. We have the older brother and they have the younger brother on their team. They're both Kato and Gunman Bob are related to each other. Obviously, we're looking forward to facing RSH and SRC in playoffs. Well, I hope that people remember that we placed first in our group. I'm not really sure what the opinion is on our team from last season, because I hope that everyone thinks we could have made it farther with our starting roster, but obviously that didn't happen. So I'm hoping that we do make it farther with our starting roster this time around. If I were to describe FN in a few words, it'd be I'd say they're new and they're unproven.
Fire Nation, similar. I mean, strong leadership with Burn Victim being the team captain.
I would describe FN as consistent.
I see them winning some of their wins fast with Tricknick and Capwill, but I think they'll have some spectacular losses as well because those two don't know when to stop.
I'll say they're mediocre.
Burn Victim starting with a brand new slate. Is this a good move? Losing Alex?
Fire Nation kind of did a whole revamp. I think with burn victim still being there, they're going to do really well.
Fire Nation is something of a wild card.
What our team does like super well, like our strengths is like we're really good at communication, and also at pretty much like any strategy that we want to play right now, we have the ability to play through multiple different lanes. I'm looking forward to facing against Roman, even though it was a pretty competitive match, but they were convincing the better team last season. EXE, because we were kind of scrim partners last season, and FN had a really good record against them until we played them in the playoffs, and then they like crushed us. I hope that they think of FN as like a solid contender, like a very clean, like a clean team. Bear carry.
They rely a lot on Bearson to kind of carry them through their game.
A gap, also somewhat unremarkable.
Mediocre also.
Bearson, the most winningest season 1 and 2 player, deciding to make his own team. Will he succeed?
Bearson's solid.
A gap? I don't even know how much of that roster is finished. I remember having the impression that they would be one of the weaker teams in their group. Again, I think at this point anything could happen, and I'd be happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I'll just say ragtag.
What does a gap do better than other teams? I don't know, to be honest with you. We're kind of finding our way. I think the rivals, the teams I really look forward to playing, definitely is FN, and I guess I'll say EXE now too. I stepped away from them because I got a captain spot, so I'm able to make my own team. I think that's more of a friendly rival. I hope we might be another underdog story if we're able to, kind of outperform that ranking and play better than what people expect for. I think that'll definitely be something that teams will remember. EXE is my old team. Describe them in a few words. Exiled, because a lot of us got moved on from or kicked off other teams in the circuit, so exile definitely would be one of the big words I guess I would use it for.
A team I like playing against. They just draft massive amounts of CC, and it's an execution test.
Mediocre also.
Cody Solo Mason Petsa is an absolute monster, and everyone should fear the day that he roams the rift.
I actually think EXE is going to be one of the strongest teams this year. I feel like they have a super solid roster and just very good synergy together.
EXE, depending on how they round out the roster, could be really strong.
Third place Dream.
Solid.
Especially in season 2, I thought our team was good at pulling the trigger. I would say the team that is our biggest rival is probably FN. After season 3, I hope at least that they will consider EXE a top team. And I'm not just saying like a top half team, I'm thinking top 4. If I had to describe SRC, I would describe them as consistent. Frustrating is the second word. They have very minimal weak points, and their strong point comes from their bot lane, the consistency and just frustration from playing from them.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Helmed by Kabos and backed up by CLG, will the Season 2 runner-ups become the Season 3 champions?
I feel like they'll be really solid like they were last season too.
SRC, obviously, I think the biggest question mark is that support sub that they've signed, who it sounds like is going to be playing quite a bit. I'm going to be curious to see if she can perform as well as Imgame has. I think that could end up being a weakness for the team, depending. So we'll have to see.
Balanced, strong.
SRC, they are a really good team. Words that would describe them, I feel like they're a limit testing team. Like they just push the limits on what they can do in games, and I think they just play like madmen a lot of the time. Like, I don't know what it is. Crazy would be another word for them.
What does SRC do best or better than other teams? We have superior laning in all of our lanes for most games, I'd say. Outside of that, I think we dive towers very well as well. What rivals do I have? What teams am I looking forward to facing the most? RSH, definitely. I want Revenge. And then EXE as well. I get along with Cody, Solo Mason, and it's fun to dump on him in bot lane. Eventually, maybe he'll take one off of me, but it's not that time yet. What will people remember about SRC after Season 3? I wouldn't mind being Season 3 champion. That'd be a good start. I want people to dread having to face SRC. Flash goes on F. Definitely goes on F.
F stands for Flash.
Oh, Flash on F for me.
I put Flash on F always.
Flash on D. I think it's actually been like proven to be slightly faster.
It's on D.
Oh, F 100%. Flash. F is for Flash.
I am a Flash on D kind of guy.
Flash has to be on F.
Flash is on D for when I'm playing lane, and I actually swap it to F during jungle. It's an old habit I've had from Season 3, and I never changed it. And I actually have my muscle memory on Flash and Ignite and all that type of stuff bound to the champions that I'm playing, not to what role I'm playing, if that makes sense.